What's up, everyone? Welcome to my spoiler review for episode 3 of WandaVision. The theme song wasn't quite like that this time, but I love that theme song so much. It was so catchy, it's still in my head. Anyway, I am Terrell Aaron Kloss, and before we get started, I want to remind you all to please subscribe to my channel and make sure you ring that bell too so that you can be notified whenever I post a new video, okay? Alright, now let's go in. In this episode, it was pretty much like the Brady Bunch in a way, well, in a big way. I love how they are making these episodes that are pretty much paying homage to a lot of the most famous sitcoms throughout each of the decades. I think they have a Modern Family one coming up, and maybe even like a Roseanne one coming up as well. But for this episode, it was pretty much inspired by the Brady Bunch, from the colors to the costumes. Everything, the settings, I really enjoyed it. Now, with this episode, I thought that it was cool and that all the characters were very cute and all, but it wasn't really funny to me. It was, I don't know, and the actors are really great. They're all top-notch actors, but I think for this particular episode, either it was the director's choice or maybe it was just in the writing, but it wasn't really funny to me. The actors really hammed everything up to like the 10th power, especially Wanda and Vision and Geraldine, aka Monica Rambeau. But I think that it was really just the writing. I really think it was just the writing. It just wasn't there like how it was in the previous episodes, the previous 2 episodes. I feel like the writing wasn't strong here. It wasn't witty and clever, and well, it wasn't funny. It just wasn't funny to me. It was just kind of blah. Like, it wasn't like laugh out loud funny like how the writing was in the previous 2 episodes, like I just said. So I was kind of let down in that area, but the setting and the production value was so high on this episode. The settings and the colors and the cinematography, it all kept me locked in, as well as the deeper story that we know is that this whole thing is building up towards. If I didn't know that there was something else going on, or that this was all going to lead to something huge and then connected to amazing movies that are currently filming right now, then I probably would either check out or I probably wouldn't be so eager to watch this at midnight on Friday. And I'm in California, so if you're on the East Coast, you have to stay up to 3 a.m. if you want to watch this as soon as it drops on Disney Plus. But since I'm over here on the West Coast, aka the best coast, I just have to wait till midnight. For Cinderella, the magic ends at midnight, but for me, the magic begins with Wanda. Now, speaking of magic, she used a whole lot of magic in this episode. I love how with each episode you see how whenever she uses her powers, you see how the way that it's portrayed in a way that it would have been portrayed on that particular show in that particular decade. You saw how, like, in the first 2 episodes, everything was in black and white and everything was pretty much on strings floating around. But in this one, things are getting a little bit more technologically advanced in the 70s. This is really, really cool. But speaking of the 70s, again, this is a Brady Bunch inspired episode, and I love the Marsha Brady look that Elizabeth Olsen was pulling off. She just looks amazing in everything. She really looked amazing here, and really, as a pregnant woman, she had that glow, that magical glow that most women have whenever they're pregnant. We started off in this episode pretty much with Wanda and Vision getting the baby's room all settled in, getting it painted and the crib being built and everything. And everyone was happy and jolly, you know, all that fluff. They were all good and happy. You know, they couldn't wait for the baby to be born. And within like the first 10 minutes of the show, Wanda went from being like 4 months pregnant to being 9 months pregnant. Now, before Vision left to go and run and get the doctor, he sat Wanda down and expressed that he felt like something was off. And then something crazy kind of happened. The scene cut to him standing back up again and then completely forgetting about his suspicions and everything. And at first I thought maybe the footage skipped, or maybe the streaming was interrupted. So I hit the 10-second rewind and I watched the scene again, and I realized that this was Wanda's doing. It wasn't a streaming issue or a video file issue. This was Wanda. This was a Maximoff issue, or a magical issue, I should say. Wanda just completely rewound time again in this episode, the way that she did in the previous episode in a way, but this one was more like a cut instead of it was just more like a start here and then jumped. It was like a jump cut. And Vision completely forgot about his suspicions. Now I feel like this is Wanda's way of keeping anyone who might start having suspicions about what's really going on from continuing on with their cross-examination. You know what I mean? Because whenever someone starts pressing her about something not being right and whatnot, something bad happens, or she just rewinds everything, or she does a jump cut. Now, when Geraldine came in, she started ranting on and on about her job, and it wasn't really funny. Again, the writing just wasn't where it was in the previous 2 episodes at all. So I was like, okay, come on, let's get to the good stuff. And a stork was walking back and forth and stuff, and Wanda was trying to get rid of that thing while trying to entertain Geraldine, who never really realized that there was a stork walking back and forth in and out of the living room. So when Wanda finally just went into labor and started having the baby, Geraldine actually delivered the baby, the first one, Tommy, of course. Now, for those of you who may not know about the comics, about the origins of these characters and whatnot, Tommy and Billy are Wanda's kids from the comics. Now, they weren't really her kids because they didn't even really exist. They were all a part of this illusion, and they ended up being taken away from her, which caused her to have a complete mental collapse, which I can't wait to see. Oh, this is gonna be amazing. I've never been so excited to see someone's complete mental breakdown. I kind of feel weird even saying that, but this is TV. I'm here for this, and so are you all. But yes, so Geraldine helped Wanda deliver little Tommy, but Wanda was still pregnant, and then Vision came back in with the doctor, and then little Billy popped out of Wanda too. And in like a split second, like everyone was standing up holding the babies, everyone was clean, Wanda's hair looked great again. It was so sitcom-esque, because that kind of stuff takes a whole lot of time to happen in reality. But everything just kind of went like here. And then Vision left to bring the doctor back home. And now Geraldine and Wanda were left alone together. And then the whole tone just shifted in a really great, dark, ominous, dramatic way, and Wanda started to sing to her kids in her native Sokovian tongue with the Sokovian accent. It has returned, probably just for a limited time only, of course. And then all of a sudden, Geraldine, she looked like she was remembering something. She started to talk about Quicksilver being killed by Ultron, and then Wanda just grew this dark look on her face, and she confronted Geraldine, and then all of a sudden, things just went left. I was like, whoa, yes, now things are getting good in this episode. I knew that if I waited for it, it would come, and it did. And then all of a sudden you see the scene cut to like Geraldine being flown through the air like a frisbee through this translucent kind of staticky force field, the one that we've seen in the commercials. And then a whole horde of sword agents and vehicles came rushing down on her, and Geraldine, Monica, rolled over and looked completely out of it and shaken, and then it went off. Kevin Feige is the man. I have to say that he is so the man. He knows what works, especially being able to look across the aisle at the other team and see what doesn't work. If you know what I mean, and I think you do. Now, there are a few things that I'm really excited to see coming up in this series. The first of which is, how will Wanda get her code name, the Scarlet Witch? How? Who's going to give it to her? Why are they going to call her that? And also, will we learn that the Mind Stone actually unlocked the X gene within Wanda and her brother Pietro while they were being experimented on by Baron von Strucker back prior to the Age of Ultron events? And since most of the other volunteers died during those experiments, did they die because they didn't have the X gene, like Wanda and Pietro did? And maybe that's why Wanda and Pietro survived the experiment with the Mind Stone and being hit with that blast of yellow radiation from the Mind Stone. Maybe they survived because the radiation unlocked their X gene. Will mutants come from all this, come from this series somehow, some way? And for that matter, will Wanda resurrect Quicksilver, Pietro, just like how she did in the comics? I can't wait to find out all of this and more. Right now, that's the end of my review. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Now, do you agree that the writing really wasn't as strong, clever, and witty and funny in this episode as it was in the previous 2 episodes? And what would you like to see going forward? How do you think Wanda's going to get her name, the Scarlet Witch? If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can at creative_claus. And make sure you like this video if you like this video, and I hope you do. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell too so that you can get notified whenever I post a new video. And remember, always fly high and fly free. Be you, because everyone else is taken. All right, now you can check out another video from me right now. And zoom, zap, bang!